Welcome to another exciting episode of the Business of Digital podcast, featuring your hosts, Matt Siltala and Dave Rohr. Hey guys, excited to be here with you on another one of these Business of Digital podcast episodes. How's it going, Dave?
Top of the morning or afternoon or whatever time it is you're listening to this.
Yeah, who knows?
Or whatever time we're recording.
That's right. So what we're going to talk about today, and I love this, and you guys, you don't know like how awesome this stuff happens just like on the fly, but Dave just came
4
up
different
with this.
changes to the title.
Yeah, 4 different changes within like a minute of us getting ready to record this episode. But the one that stuck that I think is amazing that Dave came up with is tips for starting a new content channel. And so that's really what we're going to get into. But I guess it came from a inquiry or question that you received, Dave, so maybe you can kind of jump in and get us started, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, it was a friend of mine who is not a digital marketing person, like a year and a half ago. That's how, like, when we tell you that sometimes we have ideas that we sit on them for a while, and we have a long list of ideas, which kind of goes into what we're going to talk about. Like, we have a long list of topics to talk about, and we get to them eventually.
We do.
Sometimes not as quick as people want, but,
Sorry.
Well, we try.
It is what it is. Hey, we're not being paid for this, guys.
But this is kind of one of those, it's actually an example on multiple levels. They were starting like a new blog, and it can be a blog, it could be a podcast, it could be an Instagram account. I don't really think Twitter would qualify, because it's more about how much content do I need before, I start. So if you're starting a new blog, do you start with just, you launch it and there's no content?
How many videos should I have before I start my YouTube channel?
Yep. How many videos for your YouTube? How many posts on your Instagram?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, no, I was saying, yeah.
And, do you build a grid in your Instagram to start with? What is the correct best practice? And, back to our best practices aren't always best practice. But as I think about us, we launched the podcast. We had, how many? We had like 4, I think, in the can. And I think we pushed 2 live instantly. And then we had 2 for the next 2 weeks. So that gave us, 2 or 3 weeks-ish to then record more, because we don't do it every week. Right. As this is our, second one today. Yep. So, that's how we do the podcast. I think for Instagram, how did you start your most recent Instagram account for your photography stuff?
Well, luckily with me, I've been taking pictures since 2010. I've been taking pictures before then, but I'd say like more professionally since 2010. And so basically with me, it comes down to, okay, I have to decide like what kind of I had the content there. Good grief, you don't want to know the hundreds of thousands of pictures that I've taken, but or tens of thousands, sorry.
That's just this year, and it's still January.
Yeah. But tens of thousands of pictures and content to be able to like go through. But for me, it was just trying to decide, okay, well, is my theme going to be, portraits of people that I've taken? No, I don't really want to do that. I don't want people coming to me asking for portraits. Or is it going to be, this or that? Well, I do a lot. It ends up being where a lot of my stuff is landscape photography, even more so. You'll probably find more Milky Way type stuff. But, just a matter of going through the content and picking those kind of things out. But you bring up a good point, though, because I'm working with a group that's recently, they're getting ready to launch a business and a restaurant. And one of the most important things that we've talked about, again, helping them understand like the importance of reviews and things like that. But on the side of it for what we're doing, different social media channels. For example, Instagram is going to be their friend. Facebook is going to be their friend. But more specifically with Instagram, the conversations that we've had is, okay, well, what kind of content do I need to put out there? And so the research or the homework that I gave them was go and look at, and again, we all know the different companies that we follow for whatever reason, but I know like several restaurants and places like that are killing it. And so why not take a page out of their book and see what they're doing that works? And so I say, go look at X, Y, and Z. Go and see what they're doing. See how consistent they're posting. go over here and look at them and see what they're doing. And they all kind of have the same formula. They're posting information daily about what their specials are. They're posting information about closures. They're posting information, wishing people happy whatever days, or they're keeping people up to date, like especially if it's like a barbecue place, or if you're a place where you're going to run out of food in a certain amount of time. Just letting people know that they have that channel there to be able to go back to consistently find that information that they're looking for. And so, like, I don't go to the store and, hoping to get the brisket, but I could have looked and found out that it sold out 2 hours earlier. And so that's kind of what I do. And I help them understand, like, this is the amount of content that you're going to need for this new channel. Okay. You're going to need to have these images of your food. You're going to need to know, kind of have an idea of what you want for, free content, for free food, for free stuff. And again, I'm just giving this example with the food one, but it can be almost anything, whether you're a dentist or whether you're, whoever, just basically having this content together of before and afters, or, come in for free cleaning or this or that, or whatever it might be. Obviously relate it to your business is what I'm saying, but having enough content to be able to put something out consistently, but getting an idea from that by doing a little bit of research, going and taking pages from books of people that have already done this and seem to do it consistently well. And so once you do that, again, this is the advice that I've given these guys, and helping them understand, and then they know, okay, all right, well, we're gonna start working on this. We're gonna start creating graphics. We're gonna, let's have this planned ahead 6 months. Let's know that, hey, okay, so Valentine's Day is coming up. We're gonna have a graphic already made for Valentine's, so we're not gonna have to scramble last minute and get something made. Or we're gonna have a deal, or maybe we're gonna put together some sort of a thing where, maybe we normally don't do a dinner service, but we're gonna do dinner service. And we're going to let people know on Instagram that we're going to let this many people come through, and this is going to be a Valentine's Day thing that we only offer. But again, these are the kind of things that you need to think about with this channel. And again, this was just Instagram, but you could have this same kind of stuff on, the same kind of routine or research, whatever you want to call it. You could have the same kind of planning stages on whatever channel you're thinking about. But the point is to figure out what that is. And I know that this has been a big whole long-winded spill, Dave. And so I don't know if there's anything that that you have to add to it. But
I think the very first question people need to ask before you go, well, how many do I need, is what is your content plan? Like, what is your frequency? I can speak honestly.
It's early. No.
What's that?
I said it's early. Actually, it's not. But
it's not. It's been a long week. What is your frequency of posting?
Well, see, that's why I suggested the research, because that helps them get that idea. Yeah.
Like, are you just going to be posting your weekly specials? Or are you a food blogger? And do you have one new post a week? Okay, well, then you assume that you're going to have one new post a week. You're a YouTuber. You have one new video every Wednesday or every Tuesday and Thursday. You're a SaaS solution company, and, once a quarter maybe, you have something really worth, screaming from the rafters about. But the rest of the time, what are you going to do? Are you going to have a blog? Are you going to have a podcast? Are you going to have a YouTube? Are you just going to put stuff on LinkedIn? Are you just going to be posting on Medium? What is your content plan? And then I think figure out what your content plan is, how much time you think you have to create that content each week or each month or each quarter, and then assume that you're going to be wrong. That life will get in the way.
We know this. Today, for example.
Like your content writer, who is the person that full-time works on your emails and your product listings and product things, but also spends 5 hours a week on, creating that new piece of content for the next week. Assume that once a month, their entire week's going to be gone. Like, they're not going to get to work on anything. Now, what are you going to do? So that for me is why we record multiple episodes at a time.
Well, and I also love what we do that you created when we first started this. Just a simple Google Doc, a sheet that basically,
Is our content plan really?
yeah, it is. And again, that's what my point is, that your content plan doesn't have to be some elaborate CMS system and remind blah 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 whatever. Like, it could be something that's super simple, and it just basically lays it out in front of you and gives you an idea. And also, I like it too because one of the things that you're really good at, Dave, is if an idea, like if an idea pops into my head or yours or whatever, like you go directly to the doc and just update it, whereas I'm not as good at remembering to do that. But
Oh, I
that's
won't
what
remember otherwise.
well, yeah, and that's awesome. And so, like, that's what that helps with the overall plan, and that's what people need to be doing. So again, I may be having a really good brainstorm session with a business owner about different things to do, but then there may be things that pop up in their mind, while they're serving a customer or something that helps. Well, having that channel to be able to go back to, or that that place to be able to go back and write that down, so to speak, so they don't forget about it. That's huge, and that helps with this channel is what I'm saying.
Yeah, whatever channel you're setting up, whether it's an email newsletter that you're going to send out, like Aleda just started her newsletter again, and she's also got her Crawling Mondays. So she's got herself set up where she now has a weekly email and a weekly video. Bless your soul, Aleda, you're crazy.
And that's great too, yeah.
Yeah, but she's got herself set up now where she's got these weekly, that's her routine. She's got to, have it done every week.
And I'm glad that you said God bless her, because that's the part that I wanted to stress. So, like, as we're saying all this, like, Dave, you mentioned if you're just posting your daily specials or your weekly specials, or you're just posting the video on Wednesdays or whatever, the thing that is going to drive, or the thing that's going to make it work, is the consistency. You can't tell someone to come back every, Monday and look at your specials, or come back every Wednesday for a new video, if you don't have that. Like, you and I would not have done as well on this podcast if people didn't know that they could every Sunday or Monday, come and count on or not have a new episode. Like, it just wouldn't work if there wasn't a new episode.
And the way the algorithms work, the less they interact, the less they listen.
Yeah.
If it falls
Good
down
point.
the list and you go, oh, well, I have an extra 20 minutes this week, I'm going to go listen to this one instead. Oh, I like this one.
Yeah.
And now
Very
suddenly we are one of the places that is now fighting another place for an extra 20 minutes of your time.
That's right.
And so I think the short answer, the too long didn't read, want to listen at the 13-minute markish, is to sit down, plan out your channel, plan out your cadence of dropping content, of podcasts, video, posts on Instagram, posts on Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is that makes sense for your business. Assume that you'll have pitfalls and lapses every so often. Factor that in, keep some content ahead, which you should be doing anyway. But then that is your kind of thing. It's like, okay, when we launch, we're going to be posting once a month. So when we launch, we really only need one piece. But we also know that the next 6 weeks, our developers and our content people are busy on things. So we should have 2. And that's the answer. Launch with 1, maybe 2, and then know that you already have 1 in the hopper that gives you 2 months to create whatever it is. Or if you do a weekly video, push out 1 or 2 and then have 1 or 2 ready, because that gives you, again, 2 weeks to keep going and always have that, vacation time or some family emergency happens. That gives you a little bit of breathing room so you're not struggling, or maybe business picks up. Like, I had a whole bunch of stuff going on this week. We were actually going to do another project or another topic for this podcast, but I simply couldn't remotely get to digging into the stuff that I wanted to. So it'll probably be in 2 or 3 weeks. But, again, that's exactly why we do that plan. We have 20 or I don't even know, 40 or 50 more ideas sitting there, 10 to 15, I guessed, ideas. And because I got too busy and we couldn't record one of those, we went down the list and went, what makes sense?
Yeah. Well, and I like how you're like playing it by ear, because what it makes me think of too is, going back to one of these other examples kind of that I've been using is, there might be someone that comes in and takes a picture and posts a review or says something amazing. Well, guess what? Your content for that week could be just a screenshot of that, thanking that person. And, they posted it for their channel and it went in front of all their people, but maybe your people on your channel haven't seen that. And so you take, the user generated content from someone else and make it your own. There's always those opportunities. So, play it by ear. Like, let's say maybe you had something planned, but then this came up and it's more timely, or, there's always opportunities and ways to go about it. And the point in all this is there is no right or wrong way. It's just like whatever works best for you based on these certain principles that we're trying to lay out.
Yeah. And if you're starting a podcast or a video or blog or Facebook, post one or two, make it so that people get an idea of what you're about, the topics and that, and then just figure out, how much you need in the can based on that cadence. And I think that if you don't have a plan, like there's times where we have a plan of we're going to record 3 and we record 4. Sometimes we record 2. Yeah. And sometimes Matt or I will come in with an idea and it's like, yeah, I know we were going to record these 3, but here's what I just saw. Oh, okay. Or here's what Google just announced.
And sometimes our conversations lead to completely new topics.
Yeah. Or we decide to go, yeah, we're not going to talk about that one today because we really don't want to. Yeah. And that we have that allowance because also there's times where we decide that we've just recorded 2. It's lunchtime. Matt's hungry. I have a call that I need to prep for. So we're just going to wrap up early today.
There you go.
But we have enough in the can and we know that in a week and a half we'll record more. So we're fine.
Yeah.
Because we kind of plan-ish.
Well, and that's the point, guys, because I think like a lot of times people get too stuck up on, I have to have 40 blog posts ready to go, or I have to have
and launch 40... them all at the same time.
Yeah. And so they think that they have to have all this. And what we're saying is you don't. You just have to have a plan in place. And
at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, at least 1 or 2. Have a plan in place and also learn to play it by ear. And again, every, depending on the channel is going to be very different on how you have to go about that prep. Like, if you're wanting to start a YouTube channel, like some of the YouTubers that my, 14 and 16-year-olds watch, 17-year-olds watch, then, that's going to take a little bit more of planning and stuff like that.
Which they don't like.
Yeah.
It was a couple of years ago, the now middle one wanted like a video camera and a mic setup and like all this stuff. And I think he'd been watching Carolyn like podcast and stuff for like Webmaster Radio. And he was like, no, I want to do a video thing. And I was like, all right, what are you going to talk about? Write down your first 10 topics, your first 10 like episodes. What are they going to be about? I want you to come up with, the research or whatever you need to show me that you know what these 10 are going to be about and how long they're going to be and stuff. And he was like, that sounds like a lot of work. He's like, no, I just want to make a video. I'm like, we're not going to buy you $100 or $300 worth or whatever stuff for you to go, I bought him like basic software. I said, download some free video software and play with it and figure it out. Like make silly videos that no one will ever see. Like, well, I don't really want to sit and learn it. I'm like, all right, well, then we're not buying it for you.
Just figured it out. Yeah. Cool.
Because he was like, that sounds like a lot of work. I'm like, yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, starting.
It's not hard. You just gotta, like, yeah, I didn't.
All right. Well,
he wasn't that interested, which is fine.
Any final thoughts on this, Dave?
This started as tips for starting a new content channel, but it became kind of why you need a content plan, I think. Which makes sense. Yeah. Because you really do need a content plan before you start a new channel.
Yeah, and again, I guess if I had to hone it into, the title of it, my, tips for starting that content channel would be like, don't get too overwhelmed in thinking that you have to have every piece of content for the next 6 months. Like, do what Dave said. Have a couple, at least 2 or 3 ready to go. Have the one that you're ready to launch with and a couple in the bag ready to go. But also let it guide you and let it lead you and let your audience, help lead that as well. And you're going to find that certain things that you post about, people are going to like and interact with more. And base a lot of what you do on that feedback and just kind of how things go. And, those would be my tips for starting a new content channel. Just don't get overwhelmed that you have to have everything for the next 6 months all done in ready to go before you even get started. Because trust me, you will not start it if you just don't jump into it with a couple ready to go. So
Also, it's not the end of the world, even though we said it is, if you miss a week
yeah, there you go.
or change your schedule.
Well, and my thing with that was not missing a week. It's just being consistent. Like if you're consistently missing every week or every other week when you say you're going to have it every week, if I've been able to listen to you for 52 weeks and you end up missing 1 week, I understand that. And
Good
Google
God,
understands that. You know what I mean?
Done with them.
Yeah. And if you are, then I don't want you as a listener anyway.
Well, clearly you didn't miss us during the holidays.
That's right. All right. Well, just a reminder, everybody, we do appreciate you guys. We love you, and we love that you listen to us, and we're very grateful for that. So just a reminder, we are on Spotify. Go and write reviews. We love reviews. Go and review us anywhere, but just a reminder, if you can go do that on Spotify. And for Dave Rohr with Northside Metrics, I'm Matt Siltala with Avalanche Media, and we appreciate you guys listening. Bye, guys.
Danke.